I think sometimes the divisions in this country get a little bit too hot. Okay, at the end of the day, we are all Americans who love this country. And I also think, and the media plays not a good role in this, again, not just Fox, is we have a lot more in common than most people think we do. All right, poll after poll. Should we raise the minimum wage to a living wage? Yes. Should we rebuild our crumbling infrastructure? Yes. Should we make sure that our veterans get the health care that they have earned? Yes. All right. Should we make sure that we do not cut Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid? Should we give huge tax breaks to billionaires? You know, that's how most...
We're going into nonpartisan issues, except because it didn't work then. But now it should, because the American people all over the country, they know that we need to build back better. So this is to take us into the future and to be, should we say, benefiting from all that we have learned in technology and the rest on how to go forward. And it's a pretty exciting prospect. It shouldn't be in any way partisan. They may not like the green aspect of it, but there's certainly plenty other aspects of it that they know. In other words, when we do this, it is essential that we invest in our people to have the workforce development necessary. And that has to be women, people of color, Native American, veterans, rural Americans, everybody pitching in so that they not only have better paying jobs, that they have equity, that they can have companies as they learn all of this that can benefit from it. So it's a private sector initiative and a public-private cooperation as we go forward. It's pretty exciting.
What about offset proposals? The Democrats' budget proposals include provisions that will cause immediate and long-term damage to our economy and send many of our most successful businesses and the jobs they provide abroad. 1, they propose increasing taxes on all kinds of businesses, large and small, leading to lower wages, fewer jobs, and higher prices for consumers. 2, they would allow and encourage rival countries to change the international tax system for the worse. 3, they want to raise our taxes on our businesses in hopes that other countries may raise theirs sometime in the indefinite future, while ceding U.S. taxing rights to our competitors today. 4, they propose enacting a double death tax, particularly harmful for family farms and small businesses. 5, they want to substantially increase taxes on investors, entrepreneurs, savers, and retirees. 6, they want to drastically expand the powers of the IRS while limiting its accountability and turn banks into private investigators for monitoring law-abiding Americans. 7, their ideas will raise taxes on middle-class individuals and families, and not just those earning over $400,000. At the very same time, they want tax relief for some of the wealthy living in the high tax and spend states. And finally, they're also seeking to impose government price controls on the pharmaceutical industry that will stifle medical innovation.
Take their next big step toward playing Russian roulette with our country. They want to begin pushing through a reckless taxing and spending spree that was authored by our self-described socialist colleague, Chairman Sanders. Today, the American people will learn exactly where each of their senators stand. The American people elected a 50-50 Senate, an incredibly close House of Representatives, and a president who pledged to govern down the middle and unify the country. But as soon as President Biden, Speaker Pelosi, and Leader Schumer got the keys, they handed them right over to the far left. Remember, Democrats inherited 3 safe and effective vaccines that were already rolling out nationwide and an economy that was primed to come roaring back. But our colleagues pressed ahead with a massive springtime spending package that even liberal experts said would drive inflation. And of course it did. Overall inflation has risen at the fastest rate in nearly 13 years. Core inflation hit its highest level in almost 30 years. Families are getting hit by higher prices everywhere, from the grocery store to the gas station to their housing costs. Small businesses have had trouble reopening because would-be workers are getting a government bonus to actually stay home. So the country is still working through the side effects of the borrowing and spending the Democrats forced through back in the spring. But Democrats don't want to just refill their socialist prescription. They want to double the dose. Double the dose. According to what they just released, Democrats want to unite behind Chairman Sanders' resolution to spend a staggering $4.2 trillion more dollars. Of course, outside experts estimate the real cost will be even higher still. If it's even close to fully offset, as they claim it is, this seems almost certain to be the largest peacetime tax hike on record. So let that sink in. The largest peacetime tax hike on record.
If we are going to build back better, we have to do all of these things at the same time because the urgency is so real. This is not something that can wait around. So we want to deliver both bills to the president in September and have him sign them into law so we deliver for the American people.
Is there a trust issue here? I mean, do you fear that if somehow the bipartisan deal, let's say Speaker Pelosi on August 23rd, you come back and says, all right, I'll bring it up, let's go. Do you somehow fear moderates are going to walk away from you on the bigger bill?
Yeah, Chuck, you know how DC works. Everything works on timelines and everything works on making sure people have urgency and momentum to move quickly. The best way to keep the urgency and momentum up is to do both bills together and to make sure that everyone understands that whatever their priority is, whether it's in the infrastructure bill or whether it's in the Build Back Better reconciliation package, the way we get them done is to move them at the same time to the president's desk. Without that, you're going to have a lot of people trying to push for one piece and not voting for another piece. And that's true of progressives, but it's also true of Democrats who might not want to. One more thing, Chuck, I got to say, that is a Democratic agenda. It is the president's agenda, and it's what we promised.
Pelosi bracing for a fight with some more moderate members of her caucus next week. Top Democrats say the House is going to move forward with voting on the budget blueprint for that $3.5 trillion health care, education, and climate package, rejecting demands from a group of centrist lawmakers to first vote on the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Speaker Pelosi sent a letter last night urging her caucus to pass the budget measure. And once that happens, they can start to craft details of the legislation. Democrats can afford no more than 3 defections in the narrowly divided House. Becky.
Yeah, and it's going to be tricky, Joe. We spoke with Scott Gottheimer from New Jersey, the congressman from New Jersey, and some of the moderates are kind of rearing up and saying, wait a second, we want infrastructure dealt with before you deal with some of these things. He came on Monday and talked about that. So you'll see, there are 9 of them that signed that. They can only afford 3 defections, so it's going to be a battle to see which side wins out.